Hello, my friends. Today is the 17th day of March 2019. Yes, it is St. Patrick's Day, and my name is David. It is Sunday. I hope you had a wonderful day at church, and I hope you went to church. Today I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to give somebody else's testimony, I guess if you want to call it. I'm going to tell you a story that was told to me, but I'm going to title this video, There's No Atheists in Foxholes. And my friends, that is true. That is extremely true. And I'm going to tell you a story that was relayed to me by a Vietnam veteran, probably 15 years ago. This gentleman is no longer with us, so I feel comfortable telling his story now. I was considerably younger than him, but consider myself somewhat of a military historian, so I was able to, have nice chats with him, and he got comfortable talking with me, and I'm going to relay the story he told me to you. A little bit of background on him. He was never raised in church. He said the only time God or Jesus was mentioned in his household growing up was to be used as profanity when they used the name God or Jesus. He said that's the only time he ever heard those names being used was, in curse words. So never had a Bible in their house, never went to church. It was never brought up. It was never discussed. So he knew absolutely nothing. Of course he knew, who God was, I'm sure. You'd have to be completely under a rock to not know who God is. But the extent of his religious beliefs are pretty well much zero, is what I'm getting at. And he relayed this story to me that happened to him in Vietnam. Now, if you know anything about Vietnam, that was an extremely, extremely nasty war that the United States got mixed up in. And we lost a lot of good soldiers. 58,000 plus we lost in that war. And, heroes. Every one of them heroes. But I'm going to relay to you this story about there is no atheists in Foxholes, because it is true, as I said before. This story takes place in 1969. He was in the United States Navy. I don't know if you realize, but the Navy was in Vietnam. Of course, they had the ships offshore. They had the big aircraft carriers in the Gulf of Tonkin, where they would launch aircraft that would go do their sorties into, inland into the Vietnam country. But they also had these little boats that were called PBRs, and they stood for Patrol Boat River, if I'm not mistaken. These were about, I'm guessing, my friends, about 18-foot, maybe 20-foot fiberglass boats, armed to the teeth with M60. Everybody carried an M16. They had rocket launchers on them, grenade launchers, I'm sorry. So they had plenty of firepower. This particular night in 1967, they were to take a squad upriver. They were to drop them off, wait for them, and then bring them back. It was like a recon type mission where they were going to go up and recon the area. Now, if you know anything about the enemy in that war, the Viet Cong or the North Vietnamese, they usually did their fighting at nighttime, mainly because we had such devastating, air power that if we could see them, they would call in the planes and they would be decimated. So they learned to fight at night. Not every time, not every battle, no, but they usually fought. They like to do their fighting at night. So anyways, on this particular night, it was hot, steamy, as always. They head upriver, and he said it was pitch dark. Said you couldn't see your hands in front of your face. He said they drove about 15, 20, 25 minutes, and they got to the spot, and the boat captain pulled off onto shore, and the soldiers disembarked from the PBR and headed inland. He said they disappeared in the dark as the last we saw of them. About 10 minutes later, give or take, they start receiving gunfire from all sides, from the right, from the left. He said tracers are the illuminated bullets that are fired at night, so you can actually see where you're firing. It ain't every bullet, it's every few bullets, but there was grenades going off. He said he knew they were close. Did not even know what happened to the soldiers that disembarked from the boat. He said there was fire, grenades going everywhere. The captain was killed almost immediately. The guy that drives the boat was killed almost immediately. And the two gunners, one on each side, both were severely wounded. So here he is by himself now, 20 years old, pitch dark. His captain is now dead. The gunners on, I guess they call that the port and starboard, I'm not really sure, I'm not a Navy guy, are injured and possibly dead. He don't know. And here's all this going off around him. Well, the first thing he did was cry out to God. It wasn't grab his gun. It wasn't, oh, I gotta fire, I gotta protect, it was none of that. None of that. The very first thing he told me, he said, God help me. God help me, help me. I don't know what to do, help me. He said, I was so scared. And of course anybody would. I mean, you got bullets flying everywhere. Your buddies they're down, they're hit, they're out. And here you are, 20 years old, probably the first time anybody's ever fired a shot at him in anger. And not only does he got one, he's got them coming from every which way. Scared out of his mind, literally scared out of his mind. This is the way he's relaying this story to me. So I'm trying to do the best I can to get, his energy that he was giving to me and his voice. Scared. He said, my hands were trembling so bad I couldn't even get a hold of my rifle. M16. I could not even get grips on it because my hands were just absolutely trembling. He said, I didn't know about any type of prayers. He said, I didn't know about if I had to say something specific. He said, I didn't know. I've never been to church. He said, I just did not know. He said, but what I did know was to ask God to help. He said, God help me. He said it 3 times, he told me. He said, God help me, please. God help me, please. He said, by the 3rd time, he said, God help me. This is the truth. I'm telling you the exact way he said it to me. He said, David, when I got that 3rd God help me out of my mouth, by the time the last syllable left my lips, he said, a calming spirit came over me, almost as if everything I knew was going to be all right. He said, I stopped trembling, and I knew what I had to do. I knew I had to get cover. I had to get my weapon. I had to assess my boatmates, who's dead, who's alive, who needs help, who can be saved, and protect myself. He said it was just a calm that came over me like I've never felt before. He said, I know this is what he's saying, I know people's not going to believe me. He said, I just know they're not. He said, because I know how cynical I was when somebody would say, something about God, I would laugh. He said, I would, brush it off as just garbage, in his own words. He said, I know people probably aren't going to believe me when I tell you this. He said, but when I said, God help me the 3rd time, he said, I was scared, trembling. And he said, instantaneous, I became calm. And peace came over me. And he said, it's almost, I went into like an automatic mode. I went into like an automatic. Like I knew what to do. I knew what I had to do. I knew I had to help. I knew I had to protect myself. I had to get to safety. And he did just that. He was able to help the 2 guys, which did live. The 2 gunners, they did live. The captain was dead. He died almost instantaneously. But by him helping, he saved them 2 guys' lives. He got tourniquets on, I think he said one of them, and was able to give morphine to the other one. I can't remember. Maybe it was the one way or the other. It's been 15 years. One or the other. But anyways, my point being is he was able calmly to assess the situation with God's help, with God's hand over him. A person that's never never uttered the word God other than maybe in a profane way. Okay? Here God reached his hand down to someone that had no love for him, that had no feeling of any kind towards God at all. And here our Lord loved him so much that he reached down and calmed him and helped him, cleared his mind, calmed his body, and was able to help him save the lives of 2 people and himself. He was able to get out of that situation. He was able to get to the radio. He was able to call in support. They flew some Hueys in off the bigger boat, which were then able to orbit around the area, machine gun whoever the bad guys were they were at, keep them at bay, and they were able to get off and get back. Now that, my friends, is a true story about there's no atheist in Foxholes. Now, I know it's not a foxhole. Foxhole is just a general term. It could be anything when your life's in danger. People that don't believe in God put their life in danger. You'll see how fast they start calling out to the Lord. You'll see. Believe me, it could be any type of situation. Don't have to be military and war. It's just a saying, there's no atheists in Foxholes. But it's true. And from that day forward, that man, first off, he never forgot that day. And as far as I know, he never missed church from that point forward neither. So, my friends, the Lord is there. He's there. He's always there for you. All you got to do is call out to him. And he'll reach his hand down to you. And that is true. That is true. He was a good friend of mine. I enjoyed having many, many good talks with him over the years. I miss him. But I know he's with God. As to before, I just wouldn't know. But now I know he's with the Lord. And my friends, what a happy ending that is. What a happy ending from the start of his life to the end. What an absolute wonderful ending. You can call to God anytime. You don't have to wait till you're in danger. You might not even have the chance like him to cry out to the Lord. Your life might be gone like that. And if you've never known Jesus, you'll be lost for eternity. And that's a horrible thought. I know you may not believe me. I know you still may not believe there's a God. And I know you still may not believe Jesus. But I'm going to ask you something before I end this. If you want to know, if you're one of them people that catches this video on YouTube and you're questioning the existence of God, well, I'm going to tell you. You don't have to get in a foxhole to find out. I'm going to tell you how to do it. Don't be cynical. Don't be mockingly. Don't jokingly do it, but I want you to ask the Lord to reveal himself to you. If you do that with a sincere heart, I have no doubt he will reveal himself to you. And when he does, you'll know it. Yeah, you will. Yes, you will. You will know it. I hope you enjoyed that story because it's true. And as I said, I miss my friend, but I know he's in heaven. So you have a good day today, each and every one of you. And if you don't believe in God or you're not sure, then do what I said, and you will be. Have a wonderful St. Patrick's Day. Have a wonderful rest of Sunday. God bless to each and every one of you. Bye-bye.